Now, service providers offer some of the essential infrastructure behind the scene to ensure secure and smooth end user experience of blockchain-enabled products. As more businesses have started to add support for BSV and also having token solutions on the BSV blockchain, I think this panel really provides a good opportunity for everyone to get to know some of these BSV service providers. Today we have a variety of businesses here, ranging from payment service provider, blockchain analytics, custody, prime broker, and exchange. And we will also hear from their thoughts on how their businesses may evolve for scale. So first of all, I'd like to have our panelists just give an overview of your company, what types of services that you provide, and anything specifically related to BSV. Now, let's start from you, Jordan, first. Tell us a bit more about CYBAVO.
All right, thanks very much, Ella. Hi, everybody. Nice to be here. It's an honor and a privilege. CYBAVO, well, we're a team of security experts with a long history at some of the biggest names in cybersecurity. We'd helped a number of exchanges do forensic assessments after they'd been hacked. And so finally, our team came together and built a private key management system or solution that could both enhance security and reduce operational overhead at scale. And so the CYBAVO Vault digital asset management platform was born. Our customers are mostly crypto exchanges, custodians, banks, and so on. They appreciate our ability to generate the kind of oversight that you would expect from a traditional corporate banking interface, multi-currency support, multi-purpose specific wallets, role-based access control, granular policy configuration, and multi-level threshold signing capabilities. To that, we add a number of operational efficiencies like mass generation of deposit wallets, automated AML and transaction monitoring, fake deposit attack detection, and so on. So that's, in a nutshell, what we do.
And which part of the service offerings have BSV support right now?
The whole solution has BSV support, yeah.
That's awesome to hear. George, I know you guys provide a wide array of services. Can you give us an overview?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, BQuant has started its journey into the blockchain space as an exchange, and in 2020 we expanded into prime brokerage services, and that allowed us to cover quite a number of different use cases or solve a number of major issues. And I would break them down into accessibility, security, and safekeeping of clients' assets. Liquidity, access to liquidity in particular in a convenient way, and capital efficiency. So, I mean, some of these issues are related to individual retail clients, but a lot of the sort of day-to-day chats we're having are mostly with the institutional community, and we're seeing a larger influx and a larger interest from the institutional space. And that's where we sort of focus on at the moment. And the prime brokerage services comes in very handy because it's, I mean, the essence of the service is to provide a one-stop solution for professional institutional traders to the liquidity. So as a supporter of BSV on the exchange side and on the prime brokerage, a client can basically set up one account with BQuant and access over a dozen different exchanges with the a major liquidity, and basically have a convenient way to move funds around, manage their assets. We can provide cross-margining and lending on the portfolio margin basis, and consolidated reporting, and I mean one sort of window to face any issues and questions as a support function. So that's what BQuant is prone to do.
Thanks, George. Ari, Simplex is one of the OG earliest companies in the business of providing fiat on-ramp. I think it started from 2014, 2015, and the company has kept innovating as well. Would you like to give us an intro of Simplex and its product offerings?
Sure. So First of all, I want to thank you, Ella, and thank Jimmy and the entire Bitcoin Association for organizing this wonderful event. Definitely a privilege for me to speak here and participate, and we cherish our partnership with BSV. For those of you who are not familiar with Simplex, we empower hundreds of partners with our payments and banking solutions, enabling millions of people to buy billions of dollars worth of digital assets. Our goal is to always recognize the needs of our partners and their users, and provide a variety of fiat rails and payment options and cater their needs. And today we offer more than just buy crypto with credit card, which was our traditional product. We also offer Apple Pay. We've introduced banking, issuing of co-branded debit cards, payment solutions for NFT marketplaces and services, and even buy with crypto, which is a new trend now that is hitting the market pretty strong. These, amongst other things, are the projects that BSV and Simplex are working on, and we're really excited about our partnership, and the outlook looks great.
Yeah, so for those of you who are using BSV, who are using debit cards and Visa cards to purchase BSV on some of these wallets and exchanges, Simplex is actually behind the scene to power those transactions. Now, Ian, I think a lot of us are quite familiar with you since you joined our APAC meetup and also joined one of the CoinGeek podcasts recently. Would you like to introduce Merkle Science for those who are not super familiar with it?
Yeah, sure. And again, thank you very much for inviting Merkle Science to participate in today's event. So Merkle Science, we are the next-gen, cryptocurrency risk and intelligence platform that works with the likes of your crypto companies such as exchanges, custody providers, as well as financial institutions like your banks, asset management payment companies, and government entities. And what we do with them is that we help them detect, investigate, and prevent illegal activities involving cryptocurrency. So as everybody at this event is probably aware, as cryptocurrency gains in adoption, we're seeing all kinds of new regulation and licensing frameworks being adopted globally. And oftentimes these regulations would mandate crypto businesses to have in place tools to detect potential money laundering. And that's where we come in, right? So we have a proprietary behavioral rule engine that goes beyond just, a blacklist approach and introduces the same kind of alerts that, traditional banks use in order to detect money laundering risk, so that teams can fulfill, their AML obligations and stay up to date with the industry's increasingly complex illicit activities. What we want to do really is to create an infrastructure necessary to ensure the safe and healthy growth of the crypto industry. And today is actually a very, very exciting day for us because, I'm happy to share with everyone that BSC support has since gone live on our platform, right? And what that really means is that existing and future customers of ours can leverage our tools to track BSC transactions going in and out of their businesses to guard against, fraudulent actors and contribute to building a safe BSV ecosystem. So, really want to thank BSV for giving us this opportunity to work with them, and we look forward to continue supporting the BSV ecosystem.
Thanks, Ian. This is definitely great news for those compliance officers at the BSV businesses. I had a sneak peek of your product demo, and it would definitely make those compliance officers' life much easier.
Thank you.
Blockchain technology really captured a lot of our imagination, right, with the promise of a global, transparent, distributed ledger that acts as a truth machine of events. And over the past 2.5 years, the BSV blockchain has demonstrated the ability to handle massive transaction volume on layer 1. I'd like to ask our panelists, how will the service providers may need to adjust your technologies or business capabilities if the scale and volume of blockchain transactions become much bigger, as BSV is aiming to do? Let's start with you, Jordan.
I think for us specifically, it's not too much of a challenge. Our systems are already designed to handle multiple different types of currencies, cryptocurrencies at scale. So this really just perhaps I think the bigger challenge is that as we get more of this, we get more transaction volume and we get more currency flowing from location to location. And this has been something we've witnessed in other areas like the emergence of DeFi and so on. So what we see here is the requirement for vault solutions and security providers like us to provide the ability for our customers to actually access and allow their funds to move more quickly and more fluidly on the chain, and to do so without interfering with any of their normal operations. So I think that's the biggest challenge for us in terms of this aspect.
Now, Ian, I know Merkle Science run nodes for all these projects and blockchains that you support and indexing transactions. What are your thoughts on this to ensure the level of service performance?
Yeah, so I think scalability probably isn't what concerns us the most in the sense that right from day one we recognize that hey, there's going to be thousands of blockchains in existence, and as a blockchain transaction monitoring provider, we have to be able to monitor all. So right from day one, like CYBAVO, we've already been planning for having the hardware capabilities in order to support. What I think would be more challenging, and as we see the BSV ecosystem grows, I think what's interesting about BSV is that you're not just recording transaction information, right? You're recording all kinds of data. And what I think will be very interesting is as we see BSV starts expanding to support all kinds of different transactions of not just cryptocurrencies, but NFTs, security tokens. What is this going to look like from a transaction monitoring perspective? Because obviously the behavior of your typical cryptocurrencies that are meant for payments is going to be very different from the kind of transaction behavior we're going to see with NFTs or STOs. And being able to accommodate those subtle differences in order to provide still relevant insight for our clients to protect their business, I think that's going to be more of a challenge. But on the scalability side, I'm quite confident that we'd have the ability to support even once the BSV team breaks the record for mining the next biggest block.
That's great to hear. And this actually provides a really good segue into my next question, which is data on-chain, right? So currently, most of the activities on-chain with pretty much all other blockchains are just still simple payment transactions. But we're in the BSV ecosystem, we're working towards a future with a greater variety of on-chain data, as Ian, you mentioned earlier. So that bears the questions for service providers. How would your service offerings may evolve with these various data transactions on chain that are not just payment transactions? And I know, Jordan, you guys offer a key management platform designed to support enterprise blockchain applications that goes just beyond digital currencies. So that's something that our ecosystem has been very much focusing on. Can you tell us more about this business line and some of the common use cases that your company is working on?
Sure. Yeah. I wouldn't say that we discriminate between different types of use cases and different types of businesses. Our business is essentially securing private keys that are used to access the chain and sign transactions. Now, however you want to do that and whatever use case is really, we're agnostic from our perspective. So we have customers who are exchanges, who are banks. We do also support now NFTs, and that's sort of bringing a different line of business to us. But in general, we haven't really had a lot of customers that are using it for things that are beyond the cryptocurrency kind of use case so far. But I do see that emerging quite rapidly with the emergence of things like NFTs.
So going forward, I guess right now the main use cases for most of service providers is still in the cryptocurrency space. But going forward, I see when more tokenizations of real-world assets becoming recorded on chain, some of these solutions might be seen as extension or complementary part of companies' existing ERP system. Is that something that CYBAVO is looking at?
That's actually a good point, and definitely that is something that we would be interested in as it evolves. However, again, from our perspective, our core business is about ensuring security of the private keys, and so our solution actually as is would be well equipped to already facilitate that type of use case. As I say, we don't discriminate. However you want to use the blockchain is cool with us. We're here to sort of protect your keys and ensure that you don't get into any trouble with regards to either losing your keys or having your keys stolen from you. That's really where our expertise lies.
George, so on yesterday's conference, we discussed quite a bit about tokenizing real-world assets, stable coins, etc., and really utilize the benefits of being immutable, programmable for efficient clearing and settlement. Do you think that with Qiang custody solution, that's something you guys will start to provide in the future?
Absolutely. I think speaking of a sort of a more long-term trajectory in terms of where the business evolves for Qiang and industry as a whole, I mean, we've seen the tokenization topics popping up, a couple of years ago, and at that time it seemed like it's a bit too early now to speak about a mass adoption of the tokenization features and products. I think the time is coming now. So I mean, we've seen definitely more interest from the corporates, from various projects that are looking to seriously bring in their assets into the digital asset space. And we as a prime broker, as an exchange, we're providing the secondary liquidity, accessibility, and that's where the story starts for many of these projects. Before you can really gain traction on the market, we have to provide the bare bones, the on-ramps into the space. So tokenizing the projects, and putting that onto an exchange and providing liquidity to this asset. So that's the sort of the stages of where things are at. I mean, at the moment, we're seeing quite a bit of commodity cases where this tokenization of gold or metals, real estate. I mean, pretty much any kind of commodity is a good case for tokenization. But going forward, obviously the NFT example has showed us that the tokenization can be far beyond just assets that are attributed to the traditional finance kind of asset classes. I think the future of finance is definitely in tokenization, and bringing the technology and the BSV network into this game is very kind of a natural progression of how things will be developing.
Now, Ian, I know that Merkle Science teams, some key members of Merkle Science teams come from traditional, fintech, not traditional, fintech backgrounds with data science and fraud prevention, right? So with more on-chain data associated with transactions now, how do you think that transaction monitoring and analytics may evolve in the future?
Sure. I mean, this is a very exciting topic. So I think, the way that transaction monitoring was done traditionally, right? And let's use a bank for an example. The way that banks or payment companies today do transaction monitoring is they run analytics based on the transactions of their clients within their platform, right? Because that's kind of what they're limited to. They don't know what happens when funds go out, what's happening, and then when funds go from one payment provider to another payment provider, they don't know what happens next. With the blockchain, we have this opportunity to really analyze data beyond just funds going into an exchange. What that means is that, an exchange today, when they're receiving BSV, we can tell the exchange not just where their client got their BSV from, we can say where did the wallet before that get the BSV from? Where did the wallet before that get the BSV from? And really, we're not limited to stopping at any given point, which means that right from when BSV is minted all the way till it enters into a business, we can screen every single one of those wallets to tell our clients, hey, what is the risk associated based on all that data? But this is still more of a reactive approach. I think what's becoming very exciting in this space, and with some of the conversations that we're having with regulators, it's instead of just building a system that is more reactive, how can we be more predictive, right, proactive? Instead of just looking at transaction going to an exchange, can we look at all the transactions going on in a country? Can we look at all transactions going across the entire BSV blockchain in order to identify, if certain addresses are behaving in a suspicious manner, proactively, inform, the BSV Foundation or our clients to say, hey, these are some of the addresses that have not interacted with your business, but we know because of, ABC, they're likely, engaging in some kind of illicit activity. And so, warning them in advance to watch out for these kind of behavior patterns, right? Again, with blockchain, we don't have to wait for something to happen. We don't have to only look at data that directly impacts us. We can look at what's happening throughout the entire ecosystem, right, in order to provide actionable insights that, well, in Merkle Science case, is being used for compliance. But we have conversations with companies that want to use this information for things like business intelligence, right? We want to see how much tokens are flowing into a specific market. What are the businesses today that are attracting a lot of retail attention, and we can see that by just tracking, on a macro level, the funds flowing out of exchanges into these different marketplaces.
Yeah, for sure. I see that on-chain data analytics is going to be a huge area for a lot of different business verticals and industries. And there's going to be a lot of opportunities for companies out there to launch their analytics in certain industries with the abundance of data on-chain now. Now, Ari, so being one of the earliest fiat gateway in the digital asset space, what are some of the changes and trends you've seen over the past years in the space, and what's in the future for Simplex?
Well, first of all, we were recently, I don't know, it was public, but we were recently acquired by a payment giant called Nuvei, and now we're all very excited and looking forward to combining our capabilities. I'm excited to see new economies evolving, private labels interesting in issuing their own tokens, offering their NFTs and collectibles, allowing the users to pay with crypto. These are all things that Simplex is heavily engaged with right now. And to cater that, we also support. Obviously, we're looking to support more and more assets on our service, more projects, especially if you look at evolving industries like blockchain gaming, DeFi, which has really picked up since 2020, lending and borrowing. Each of these segments need their own specific bespoke fiat rails, payment options. And our goal is always to provide an end-to-end solution so that you don't have to go and pick up a different vendor for or a different component for every for providing the entire solution that your users need. So this is what Simplex is about. It's not just about providing the payment solution, but also figuring out what are going to be, for example, in NFTs, right? What are going to be the KYC requirements, compliance requirements, delivery, facilitation of the platform. So to be able to display an NFT price in fiat and then handle everything in the back end in crypto, the fulfillment of the transactions. We're very excited about about the direction that the blockchain and the crypto market are taking. And you mentioned it before that we were there from the get-go, Simplex, and traditionally we only focused on the bigger assets like Bitcoin and Ethereum and BSV. But today in our portfolio, we support over 100 cryptos already, which shows you how much movement and how much progression we've had in this market.
Yeah, for sure. And with more tokenized assets being issued on BSV blockchain now, I'm sure companies and projects in our ecosystem will have increasing need to services such as trading venues, custody solution provider, key management, etc. So I'm curious to hear from you guys, what's the decision process for your company to decide whether to support a certain asset or not? Let's start with you, Jordan. Especially, I think from your angle, also with like enterprise applications as well.
Yeah, so I think with the emergence of things like DeFi and NFTs and just the way that the industry in general is going, we're not where we were 5 years ago, where there was a lot of cryptocurrency sitting in stasis, right, either on exchange or in vaults or so on. Right now, what's important is actually movement of these assets constantly from location to location, and this is a bigger challenge because the game is no longer simply about securing your wallet or your vault. It's actually about securing transactions. Each and every individual transaction needs to be secure. It needs to have some kind of policy behind it. It needs to be approved and audited by the right people. And so this is where, certainly for us, the game is starting to change, and the emergence of this new use case and this new digital economy is really starting to pick up. With higher, let's say, with the emergence of new types of assets being written onto the blockchain, we can only see this getting more complex and more convoluted. Also, as we see more automated solutions come into the space, having bots requiring access, being able to manage keys for various different use cases where humans aren't actually involved. These are all very interesting and exciting sort of frontiers for us on the security side of things. How do we secure the transactions, not just the assets? This is a very old paradigm in cybersecurity, where our focus is on securing the data, and the data is often in transit. How do you secure the data not at rest but in transit? And so we're seeing the same kind of thing evolve and emerge in blockchain.
Thanks, Jordan. How about Merkle Science? So if we have a panel about stablecoins on BSV yesterday. So if BSV-based stablecoin would like to have the transaction monitoring support, for exchanges and financial institution adoption, how should they contact you guys, and what's your decision-making process like?
Sure. So, well, first of all, if they want to contact us, I think they can probably reach out to you. Can point them in our direction. But in terms of the process for decision making, so I think we're primarily driven by two factors, right? Number one is, of course, demand, right? Is it a token that is widely being used, right? Do we see a lot of financial institutions and exchanges asking for it, right? Because they want to support it due to their clients demanding it for them. So obviously in wanting to provide this infrastructure to support these companies' growth, we want to of course provide the capabilities for them to onboard these tokens. So that's number one, right? Industry demand, really driven by volume, and that's easily verifiable. The other part of what we do, of course, is on as well helping law enforcement with investigations, right, and ensuring that our clients have the tools available to them that in the event a hack or something has happened, they would be able to respond accordingly. So the other thing that we prioritize is, of course, what are the assets out there which have attracted the attention of criminal actors. Right now, fortunately, it seems like most of the criminal activity still usually resides on Bitcoin because it is still one of the more widely used cryptocurrencies. Most exchanges support it, which means that criminals have a lot of avenue in terms of wanting to liquidate their assets, as well as the market cap is sufficiently large that if a criminal is looking to liquidate 100 million, right? It's not going to move the price too much, because obviously if you do that on a thinly traded token, that's going to cause the price to crash. So these are, I guess, the two main drivers, although the formal that I mentioned, which is industry demand, typically that's what leads most of the conversations.
And for Simplex, I guess it's two questions. One is the decision process for adding a new token for your fiat ramp. And then two is if a BSV wallets or exchange that are interested in using you guys as the backend infrastructure for their quasi-banking what's your decision process to onboard them?
Okay, so we'll start with coins or assets. So like I mentioned, in the early days, and early days in the crypto world means like last year, right? We only supported the top large coins and assets, but now we're open to adding more and more, and we already have over 100 in our portfolio. Some of the the requirements are, of course, well, I'll start with what we don't support. Okay, we don't support security and privacy tokens by nature. We only look at coins that mean something to our industry and to this world, and not a lot of the ICO hype of 2016-17 is pretty much clear. The radioactive waste is cleared out, and we're left today with projects that really mean something to this world. So we look at every opportunity. We examine it carefully, and we cherry pick the projects that we work with. Having said that, first of all, you can contact Ella and any company that wants to work with us or asset. Definitely open to discuss with them. The BSV blockchain has pretty strong fundamentals, and they set a very sort of high bar for and the development tools and everything that it comes with sets a level of expectation that we're always happy to look at and prioritize. And so by nature, we welcome assets being issued on that blockchain. And yeah, we also look at other things like if the coin is tradable, if it's already tradable on certain exchanges, and I don't mean like small swapping sites, but the coin has to be tradable to become a product that we actually add to our shelves. We'll look into a few things, but in general, I think that we're very open to supporting digital assets, especially on the Bitcoin SV chain. When it comes to exchanges, wallets, any crypto company that wants to add our widget or our service, again, there's an onboarding process. We qualify every partner, and there's a screening process that has to go. We need to go through, checking again the source of the company, that it's indeed an entity registered and all that. And I'll provide all the guidance to any company that wishes to work with us. It's pretty straightforward. We have over 400 partners today that we operate.
And they have a really good customer excellence team, always there for support. And George, what about from BQuant's perspective?
Yeah, mindful of time, I'll be very brief. I mean, we are very much industry demand driven in this particular case, but being an institutionally focused company and being regulated as well, we also have to mind the sort of regulatory aspects of listing or adopting or bringing an asset to our platform. So we intrinsically, we have to do quite a bit of due diligence and tests like, I don't know, the Howey test. So just checking that this is not a security, and equally we do not support security tokens, and we do not support privacy coins. But I think the game of these of the token listings and eventually will change as the two sort of worlds, the crypto world, which is predominantly unregulated, and the regulated world emerge at some point. And I think as we see the tokenization of securities become a mass function for market participants, I think that will open up quite a few opportunities for all of us and the industry as a whole.
Yep, definitely with you on that. Well, thanks for the insightful discussion, everyone. And for the audience out there, if you're interested in learning more about these service solutions for your BSV businesses, definitely reach out to our speakers or me. Thanks, everyone, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
The biggest sickness in healthcare isn't a disease. It's not a bacteria or a virus. It's the silence. See, the data we need to combat diseases, to stop suffering, it's not waiting to be uncovered. It's stuck behind closed doors in stubborn silos. The healthcare industry has the data to improve our lives in untold ways, but no one communicates. And in that silence, countless lives are lost. That's why at EHR Data, we're building the largest ever shared data set of human health. And it won't belong to a hospital, government, a corporation. It will belong to the rightful owner of your healthcare data, you. We're merging healthcare records with blockchain to finally put you in control. Because your data doesn't belong on private servers. It should be in your hands in service to your health. The greatest sickness may be silence, but the silence stops when you have a voice. EHR Data. Own your health.